thank Pastor for giving me this opportunity. Pastor and Mrs. Pastor, I honor you. I thank God for the elders of this ministry. And trust me, Pastor, whatever you are teaching us about establishment, it's working. Because it takes power, it takes boldness, it takes even great faith and a vision to just stand here and say, Pastor, you taught us, you went up to number 4, but there's a number 5 missing. Amen. And you need to add it on your list. Yes. So whatever you are teaching us in this house, it's definitely working. This is the year of establishment, and we're gonna be established. This morning, I'm gonna introduce myself. My name is Mary Ngugi. I'm married to Mr. Alex. He's always up there. And I have 3 beautiful children. And I thank Mr. Alex for even letting me serve. And one thing he always tells me, go serve with your children so they can learn how to serve from an early age. And I'm gonna tell you it's working. Yes. Last month I received a testimony from one of the girls. Yes. We always come for prayer meeting at 9:30, and this young lady, she came, all the women were upstairs, and she came here in the sanctuary. So she was just waiting, wondering, where is everybody? And my little girl came and looked at her, and she said, come, I take you upstairs, where the big girls play strong players. And she held her by the hand, and she took her upstairs. Yes. And when they were climbing the stairs, she was even giving her instructions. Yes. When you go to that room, you open the door slowly, you walk in, and start playing with them. And what was so funny, after the service, she even followed up with her to ask her, how was your experience in that prayer room? So you might think the children don't watch, but they see what we are doing. So the reason why I told Pastor to add prayer for establishment, for you to be established, you have to have some form of communications. Even sometimes you go back to Kenya and you find people, you left them with nothing, and in a short time they are so establishment. They have to have some form of communication. They call it washy-washy business in Kenya, but they have to have communication with somebody. And our only way to communicate to God is through prayer. For us to be established, we have to pray. Have you had connection before, like ultimate connections? You go to a place and you just walk in and you get sorted out right away because you know somebody. You know, you even feel good. You walk with your shoulder high. You know, tunasemaga tuko na ma connections because you have connections. Guys, we have connection with the heavenly power, Amen. God. Amen. I remember when we went to Kenya, this is the time the passport had just come up. And I told my mom, we're gonna go apply for the new passport. And she was worried. She said, girl, people go there at 4 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes you line up all day, and you don't even get finished, because there are so many people trying, you know? And back of my mind, I was smiling, because I know my husband has connections. So we went there at 9 o'clock, and the line was all the way. People had gone there from 5 in the morning. And because we had connections, we went 9:30, we were done, you know? Talk of connections. What about us, whom we have connections with the high power? Our connection is through prayer. So we don't need to worry about anything because we are connected. Anybody came up with an answer for my riddle? Show me by the hand if you have an answer. I'm talked about more than anything else and practice less than anything else. Prayer. That's the answer. Because every time somebody tells you something, what do you say? I'm gonna pray for you. But how many actually pray for anybody? Every time somebody is sick, don't worry, I'm gonna pray for you. But after that, most of the times we don't. And I was thinking the definition of prayer, and this is my definition of prayer. Untapped resource, unexplored continent, untold treasure that remains unearthed. That's the only definition I could come up with a prayer. And for the people who like to have a topic, my topic today is Theology of Kneeology. That's my topic for the day. I know you guys like complications. So Theology of Kneeology. And the reason why I came up with this topic, if we want to see God move in a powerful way, if we want to have breakthrough and establishment, we have to get back on our knees. We need to pray. There's no any other way. JICC, we have so many untapped resources, untapped riches, only because we do not pray. We do not pray as we are expected. There are so many things that are out of our reach because we do not pray. We cannot win spiritual battles with the arm of flesh. We need to pray. You know, prayer is a direct line to God, direct with no third party. I'm telling you. I told you last Sunday about my 3 curious jobs. And today I'm gonna tell you. The other day I came from work and I left my phone on the table and I went to shower and I came back. I have a guy who does my house work, like floors and carpets and all that. He's called Jesus. Of course, of my phone, Jesus is saved as Jesus. So when I came back, I started cooking. And then a few minutes, the guy called. And he said, "You called me 10 times, what's up?" I said, I didn't call you. I said, maybe it was an accident. And you could see the look on my kids. They say, "Mom, what do you mean?" Yes, we called him. And we have a big list of the things we want. And up to this time, I'm confused. You know, I'm thinking, what do they want? We just got the carpet done, and what list do they have? And I'm still there confused. And the little one said, "Mom, we cannot believe you have been hiding this secret from us." I said, "What secret?" "That you have Jesus' phone on your number, and you can call Jesus direct, you know?" And this is when I realized what they were talking about, you know? Yes. What about for us, you know? If we all know that we have that direct link straight to heaven with God, how much more would we have a big list of the things we can talk to God, you know? And this morning, most of the times we don't pray because we don't know. And I used to be like that. And if you see me talking about prayer here, you might think she prays too much or she knows too much about prayer. I do not. I'm still a working process. And this morning, I'm going to give you some tips about prayer, things we need to know, to do so we can learn more. Tip number 1, we need to pray with persistent and regularly. And on Luke 18, Jesus told about the parable of the widow and the judge. You all know this story. This is the widow that used to go to the judge every day because she needed something. And this stubborn judge kept sending her away. But the lady kept going back. She was persistent. And the judge finally said, "I'll give you what you want so you can leave me alone." That's the same thing with us. We need to be very persistent in prayer. Don't give up. Amen. I'm telling you, the other day I got called to a family meeting by my kids. Only in America, kids will call you to a meeting. And they had allegations against me. So I sat down with them. And they said, "Mom, we have noted you favor the young one." I said, "Okay." And it's kind of a really allegation because what happens when Mina and Bobo ask something, they ask and go. Sometimes I'm doing my own things and they expect me to give them and take to them. But this little one, when she comes to me, she'll stand there and ask and patiently wait. She won't go, she will stand there. Sometimes I'll be hitting her because I'm busy doing my things, but she'll be patiently waiting for me. Sometimes she'll even remind me, "I ask you for this and this." And that's why she gets what she wants. Because she's very patient is persistent. We need to be the same. When we go to God, we have to be persistent and patient. Remember the story of the beggar who are calling on Jesus. Jesus, Son of God, have mercy on me. And people were shutting him down, but he knew what he wanted. He was persistent and he kept calling, and he received his miracle of healing. So even for us, when we pray, we have to be patient and very persistent. On Luke 11, we are told, ask and you'll receive. Seek and you'll find. Knock and the door will be opened unto you. I like the Kikuyu singer who said, even us, we have to knock and wait. Seek and you will find. And knock and the door will be opened for you. I know what happens. Prayer takes a lot of work. And our human nature is fairly lazy. That's what happens. Mr. Alex there is a marathon runner. And I'm telling you, he is fairly disciplined. He has his time of marathon. If you come when it's time for him to practice, we have guests come, he will go. They have to wait for him because that is his time of practice. And same thing with us. Prayer takes a lot of practice and a lot of discipline. And we have to be very regular. Look at Daniel. He prayed 3 times a day. Look at King David. He was very powerful and established. But we are told on Psalms 59, 16 to 17, he prayed morning, evening, and noon. So even for us, we need to have a schedule. If you don't have a schedule of prayers, you need to create one. There's no any other way out. And when it's time for your prayers, you stick to it. When I started praying serious prayers, I used to have an alarm. And time for prayers, alarm will ring, time to pray. And I did it so often that now I don't need that reminder. Because what you start as a routine, it becomes a habit. And you also have to avoid distractions. How many note every time you go to play, that's when the phone rings, that's when the kids want something. You have to avoid distraction. The devil is also smart. He knows. He'll try to throw those distractions in there when it's time for prayer so you can't pray. I remember the other day I was talking to my friend on the phone, and my kids can be very noisy. Those who have called me know that. You can hear them on the background. And so I told my friend, they were so noisy that day, they had so much energy. So I told my friend, hold on. And after a few minutes, I said, we can continue. And she was like, wow, you didn't know how to take control of them. It's very quiet. And I was laughing because I was hiding in the closet. I have a closet. You need a closet where you can learn and hide from all the distractions and to pray. Do you have a prayer closet? Do you have a place where you can go, hide, and pray without any distractions? We are told on Mark 1:35, even Jesus himself, he used to hide from the disciples to go and pray. You need a desolate place where you can just go and pray. Because you cannot be able to listen from the Father when there is all this background noise. So you need a place where it will be you and the Lord, so you can be able to listen from him. Tip number 2. Pray with passion and honesty. Jesus was very passionate about his prayer life. I cannot even, if I start talking about his passionate and prayer, I'll be here all day. But I'll give you a few options. On Luke 3:1, during his baptism, we are told he prayed passionately until the heaven opened. Have you ever been here? Sometimes JICC leads the praise and worship so passionate, you feel like the heaven is open. You know, passionate prayer opens heaven. So when you pray passionately, heaven will open and floodgates of heaven will overflow in your life. On Luke Luke 6:12, before calling his disciples, Jesus prayed all night. Can you imagine? When is the last time you prayed all night? I know we used to do it in Kenya. We used to have those kaishas. I don't know what happens when we come to America. I don't know why we don't have the overnight kaishas to pray. But what happens, passionate prayer gives you directions. Because when he was calling the disciples, he prayed and he was able to know who to pick on. And there are different people who prayed and got direction. Look at Daniel. When he was told to interpret the dream, he prayed to God. Look at Queen Esther. When she was to face the king, she didn't say, oh, I'm so beautiful, I'm a model, I can catwalk to the king and get what I want. No, she called the people into a mode of prayer. Look at somebody like Nehemiah. When he was told the walls of Jericho were falling, he didn't say, I'm the cupbearer of the king, I can go and talk to the king, we are BFF. No, he called people to pray. So passionate prayer will give you directions. Luke 9:29 at the cross, when Jesus said the final prayer, we are told he looked like the sun. You know, his appearance changed. Passionate prayer will enable you to experience the glory of the Father. Look at Paul and Silas at midnight. They were praying and crying to the Lord, and the jail doors opened for them. On Matthew 21:39, in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus prayed until he sweat almost blood. Passionate prayer will enable you to pour your heart out to God. Have you been in a prayer meeting where people are just crying and praying and you're just looking at them? That's passionate prayer. Look at Hannah. She came to the altar and cried and poured her heart to the Lord. People thought she was drunk, but passionate prayer gave her the blessing of a son. So passionate prayer will enable you to pour out your heart to God. Also, we need to be honest. Doreen started talking about it this morning. You can't go to the Lord hiding things, you know. You have to be open to the Lord. Because even before you go to him, he already knows. Pastor was telling us on Wednesday, sometimes we go to the Lord, we have things, but we are trying to hide them from the Lord. No, you need to be honest. Sometimes when I read the book of Psalms, I'm just blown my mind by how honest David was. You can tell his emotions by the way he was talking. Look at Moses on Exodus 5:22, when he went to pray to the Lord about the children of Israelites. Talk of honesty. That was pure honest. I remember when we started this church, and I used to work on Sundays. So I used to get called a lot. By then I was leading the praise and worship. Thank God for Shiko. She came and take over, you know. So every time I did the worship and then I sat down, my phone would ring and the work was calling me. I remember this one specific Sunday, we had a guest speaker. I read the worship and I sat down and I got called to work. And that day I was so ready to receive from the Lord. So I was driving to work, I was angry, I was mad. And when I got to the parking lot, I just cried to God. Honesty, I told him how angry I was about working on Sundays. And I really talked to God. I was so honest. And guess what? That honest prayer touched God. That was the last Sunday I worked on a Sunday. God miraculously gave me a job Monday through Friday, 7 days later. So when you are honest to God, you will get what you want. Tip number 3, you need to pray with thankfulness. Thankfulness. And Paul knew this secret. If you look at the books that Paul wrote, he talks about thankfulness all the time. 1 Thessalonians 5:18, give thanks at all times, because this is God's will for us. On Philippians 4:6, Do not be anxious about anything, but with prayers and thanksgiving, let your requests be known to the Lord. Psalms 104, I'll enter his gate with thanksgiving in my heart. Thankfulness, And if you don't feel like giving thanks, you need to tell God to change your heart. There's no way you can live without giving thanks. Don't be like those M-Pesa people, you know them? They'll call you and text you wanting for money, and once you send them, you don't even get a thank you message. You are even looking at your account thinking, did the money go through? Don't be like that. And we can't be like that with God, Sometimes we go to God and all we do is ask, and ask. We don't thank him. Can you imagine having that kind of friend? Every time they are calling you, that you need a favor. They are always asking and asking and asking. They never say thank you. We have to be appreciative. We need to be giving thanks, If you don't have anything else to thank the Lord, at least you wake up. You are alive this morning. Have you been in the throne room this morning to thank God for giving you the gift of life, for giving you good health? We went through the pandemic. How many people died and you are still alive? We need to be thankful. There are so many things to thank the Lord for. And we also, point number 4, we need to pray making intercession. We need to be intercessors, Some people think there's a ministry in the church called the intercessors ministry. There's nothing like that. We all need to be intercessors, And like Jesus, Paul was very concerned about the welfare of others, their souls. He was always looking up to other people, And we have a lot to pray for. Pastor has been talking about it. We have broken families. We have people who are dealing with mental issues. We have people who are not stable. We have a lot to pray for, I remember when we started the prayer meeting, the first time I went, I prayed for 5 minutes and I was done. And I was looking at people, they are still playing, I went to sleep, I woke up, people were still playing. Because I didn't know how to pray for other people. It was just me, myself, and I. I took my request and I was done, 5 minutes, But when I learned this secret of praying for others, even 1 hour is not enough, Church, we have a lot. We have a lot to pray for. You need to pray for the other members. We need to pray for this church. There are people who are members of this church, but they have never ever prayed for this ministry. We need to start praying for others, praying for this ministry, and even praying for this nation. It could take you a prayer to change the system of America. We need to start interceding. And in the Bible, there are examples of people who interceded on behalf of others. Look at Abraham. He interceded on behalf of Sodom. Look at Moses. He was always interceding on behalf of the Israelites. And look at Paul on Ephesians 3:14-19. He was interceding on behalf of Ephesians. We need to be interceding. And we also need to pray together as a church. Corporate prayer that has a lot of power. We need to pray together. We need to be strong together. I always look at the Wednesday prayer meeting. It's only 1 or 2 people. And I keep telling you people, even only one Wednesday, come and pray for the church. Come and intercede, And that's very typical for all churches. Even you go to a church with 5,000 people, on the prayer meeting, they only have 20 people. The prayer is the hardest thing to do, just like Mama Joki said. And guess what? If we don't pray right now, Pastor has been saying this. There are demons that our parents prayed for us, and we don't have to deal with them right now. Because our parents prayed for them. Mama Joki said you might not see the effect of prayer right now, but many years later, those prayers will be answered. So if we are not praying right now, we are making it a very hard time for our children. Because when their time comes, they'll be dealing with their own demons, and those demons we didn't break during the time we were supposed to do. So when we pray right now, we are changing generation. We are making it easy for our kids, you know? And Proverbs 16 verse 3 says, commit to the Lord and he will establish your plan. So whatever you have, commit it to the Lord and he will establish your plans. And I was also thinking, I'm going to teach you why prayer is important. Because some people might be looking at me, you are giving us tips, but why is it important to pray? Why is prayer important in our lives? Prayer brings us close to God. How many of you have a smartphone? Everybody in this house, right? How many of you are BFF with your smartphone? Like me, if I leave my phone at home, I don't think I'll function. I'll be like, oh my God, where is my phone? Because we are so connected to our phone, you know? And also, if you have that phone and it's not charged, it will do you no good. Because you can't access your messages, you can't even look for direction or anything. So if it's not connected, it does you no good. And that's the same thing with us. If we are not connected to the high power, we are powerless, you know? So we need to be charged. We need to be connected to the high power. So every time, how many times do you charge your phone? Almost every day, right? I want you to be charging your spiritual life every day. Every time you connect your phone on the charger, I want you to remember my voice telling you, charge your spiritual being. Every time you charge that phone, charge your spiritual being. Remember my voice like that. We need to be charging our spiritual being. Because great communication leads to strong relationship. On Psalms 145, it says, the Lord is close to those who call him. Even your friends, if you stay for a long time without talking to them, when you call them, there's that distance, you know? It's like you haven't connected, there's that service. So we need to be connected. We need to be close to the Lord every day. So when you charge your phone, remember my voice saying, charge your spiritual being. And how do you charge it? Through prayers. Also, point number 2, it makes you gain perspective when you pray. That's why prayer is important. What that means, we acknowledge there's a higher power than us. And we confront the areas of life that we need help. If there's a time that we learned there's a higher power than us, it was during the COVID times. Because we tried everything we have. We tried the medicine, we tried all the resources, and COVID was still there, you know? And I was looking at the statistic. It was showing during the COVID, all the prayer books, all the prayer channels were activated. Everybody was praying. And I don't know why we associate prayer with trouble. You know, when people are in trouble, they remember to pray more. During COVID, prayer was going up like this, you know. So we need to pray all the times, not when there's trouble. Prayer enables you to acknowledge there's a higher power than you, and you can call on him. All the things were shut down, you know. All those things that keep us busy, they were not there. So what else did we have to do? Pray. Look up to the Lord and pray. We don't need to wait until that trouble. That's when we are calling to the Lord. Number 3, why prayer is important. It's example that Jesus set. Jesus set this example. When Jesus was with his disciples, he used to wake up very early in the morning to go and pray. And his disciples looked and they noticed. Can you imagine? The only thing that the disciples asked Jesus, they didn't say, Jesus, teach us how to heal. Jesus, teach us how to perform miracles. The only thing they asked Jesus, Jesus, teach us how to pray. Because they knew that was the secret. They had observed Jesus and they knew there was secret in prayer. We are told Jesus used to pray very early in the morning. He used to spend hours in prayer in the morning. And his miracles were like, healing, you are healed. Go wash yourself in the mud. Like 2 minutes, instant, you know. He used to heal people like that. It didn't take him a lot of time to do the miracles. But it took him a lot of time to pray. And the disciples noted this. That's why the only thing they asked Jesus was, teach us how to pray. Some of us, we spent 10 minutes in prayer and we spent 4 hours during the day solving problems. We need to reverse that. We need to spend 4 hours in prayer in the morning and then we'll spend 10 minutes solving problems. Because you'll be powerful. You'll have power. I don't know about you, but I know sometimes if I don't pray, my day is in chaos. I know the difference. You know, sometimes you wake up and you receive that call and you get into work without prayers. You can tell the difference. I have power when I pray. So when you wake up in the morning, pray. Yes. Commit your day to the Lord and you'll see the power. You won't have to deal with problems and issues during the day. And lastly, point number 4. Why we need to pray. It works. Guys, prayer works. Shepherd will bear me witness. Prayer works. There are things that look so impossible, and we took them to the Lord in prayer, and we saw the power of prayers. So, a story is told about some kids. They were in a theology school, and they were going for a journey. You all remember journeys? When we were going to journey school in Kenya, we used to sleep with our shoes on, so you don't miss the journey. So these kids were in theology school, and they were being taken for a journey. They were going to see the monument of the people who died, people who brought revival in the church, but they had died. So their homes were kept as a monument for people to go and see. So this professor and the students, they prepared and they went to the house. It's in the Britain, one of the Britain countries. They were going to the house of one of the revival people, John Wesley's house. So the professor took the students and they went there. They first went inside, they saw the kitchen, and then they saw his library where he used to read all the books he had written, and then they went upstairs to his room. And on his bed, near the carpet, there were patches, 2 patches. And one of the students said, "What is this? What tear this carpet here?" And the professor said, "These are the knees of John Wesley, where he used to play every morning, not for 1 hour, not to 2 hours. He used to kneel here and pray for a long time, praying for the churches, praying for the revival." That's why those patches were there. And then they left. But when they got to the bus, the professor did the head count, and he noted one of the students was missing. So he went back again inside. He looked in the kitchen, was not there. He went to the library, the student was not there. And when he was climbing the stairs, he saw the student. The student was kneeling down where the patches were. And this student was praying. And he was saying, "Lord, I pray there will be another revival, and let it start with me." Wow. So the professor went and tapped the student, and he said, "It's time to go." And they went to the bus. Guess who this student was? This was Billy Graham. So if you don't believe prayer works, that's an example. He prayed there, he said that prayer, and it worked for him. He brought revival, and you can see the work that he did. So Elijah was also a man like us. Remember when he prayed for the rain and he prayed on let people know who is the true God? So he was just a man like us, but he prayed to the Lord. So if prayer has not worked for you, it's because you are not using the tips that I gave you. Start praying with those tips and you'll see the power of prayer. And reasons why people don't pray. You know, I was concerned and I said, I'm going to find out before I talk, because I don't understand why people don't pray. And I found out it's because they are too busy. People are too busy that they forgot prayer. And the world is moving now to a place of where self-sufficient and independent, where we don't need God. There are so many things happening. You can even see people trying to make human beings. You know, people are becoming so independent that we think we don't need God. The other thing that people don't pray is because they don't see the importance of prayer. And another thing is because they think things are okay, you know. So when things are okay, then you don't need to pray, you know. And then some people just don't think about it, you know. You just wake up and don't even think about the prayer. And as I conclude, I'm gonna say, 6 years ago, we did a movie. This movie was about an opened gift. I don't know if you have watched it. It was about this guy. He was homeless, and he got an envelope. This envelope had his will, a lot of wealth on it. But he was so happy that the envelope had his name. And for a long time, he went carrying this envelope, showing everybody because he has his name, but he never opened the envelope. And guess what was there on the envelope? It was his will. Lots of treasures, lots of money. He could have been the most richest guy, but he went carrying this envelope for a long time and never opened it. And we look at this guy and laugh, you know? And that's the same thing with us. We go along carrying the power of prayer, you know? We have never unlocked it. We have never opened. We don't know the power that we have in prayer because we don't use it. So we need to wake up. It's just like if I gave you a key to go use the car, you know? But you don't start the car. You just go carrying the key and saying, I have a car, but you don't start the car and use it. So the altars are missing in homes and in the churches. We need to do something. We keep talking about generation. You ask people what's happening. Oh, this generation. But guess what happened? It's because we neglected prayers. What happened to the parents who used to pray for their children at night? What happened to the parents? I remember my mom when I was growing up. By that time, right now we are lucky there's technology. That time they didn't even have technology. I'll see how with other women come around the kitchen, and you know how they used to talk slowly so you don't hear them. They'll be saying, oh yes, this one we fought it with prayers. Yes. They knew the weapon was prayers. Whatever was bothering them, they'll call each other and they will play with prayers. They used to fight with prayers. Some of us right now, we fight with our mouth. We fight with social media, but we don't need that. We need to fight with prayers. And I remember the other day I told you about the Muhidi guy. I was listening to this pastor, and he was saying he went to a shop and he had $500,000 he wanted to spend. But unfortunately, the things he wanted was in a Muslim shop. So when he got there, it was their time for prayer, you know? And he said, I have this, I want to. And the Muslim said, no, come back after prayers. And the guy was saying, it's a lot of things. I have $500,000 I want to buy. And the Muslim said, no, it's my time for prayers. They are very disciplined because they are taught from an early age. Prayers. What are we teaching our children? You know, prayer is lacking. What happened to the altars at home? Some of us, you see us, we are product of the prayers that our parents did for us, you know. But for our children, I don't know which way we are heading. It's even gonna get worse because we have eliminated prayers. Prayers have been eliminated in schools, and we have eliminated prayers at home. So we are, you know, we are creating obstacles for them. We need to bring back prayers in the home. We need to bring back prayers in the altar. It has to start with us. It's not gonna start with anybody else. It's gonna start with us, you know? So this morning, I urge you, brothers and sisters, we need to get back on our knees. We need to pray. There is no other way out. We have to pray. We need to pray for our children, you know? We need to pray for the church. We need to pray for the community. And there's this verse in the Bible. When I look at it, it makes me weep. JICC put for me Ezekiel 22:30. And I sought for a man among them that should make up the hedge and stand in the gap before me for the land, that I should not destroy it. But I found none. You know, the first time I read this verse, I said, God, you gotta be kidding. I don't think you looked properly. You know, but when I learned this week about our prayer patterns and about our prayer life, I realized this could have been true. And even right now, God is looking for a man. JICC, we don't want to be in these statistics. We need to wake up. We refuse to be in this statistic. He found no one. No one. You know, this verse makes me feel like weeping. I mean, no one, not even one, you know? So I refuse to be in this statistic. We need to wake up and pray. We need to wake up and pray. So as I leave you guys, I'm saying we need to wake up and pray. We need to bring prayers